Rogowy here and another tutorial. Today we are looking at Adobe Animate, and we are focusing on how to create a walk cycle. And this is very, very common depending on the type of animation or game you may be creating. You want the character to look like they're actually walking across the stage. So let's get Animate loaded up here. Let's make a new document, an action script 3 file. And I'm going to just set my size to fit in window and we'll get started. Now I have a little JPEG picture here of what a walk cycle should look like. And I found this on Google, so I take no responsibility for this. But we are going to use this walk cycle image as reference for how our character should walk. And that's handy. And depending on whether you're doing a walk cycle for an animal or a human or whatever, you should try to find some sort of walk cycle for the character that you are trying to create. Now there's an easier way for me to do this, and I'm kind of doing this stupid right now. I'm going to actually place this picture inside of Animate, and I'm going to use it as reference that way. Okay, so I'm going to enlarge my screen as much as possible, and I'm going to go File, Import to Stage. I'm going to find that walk cycle picture. I'm going to open it, and there it is. I'm just going to scale it down so that it fits nicely, something like that. Okay, and we're going to start with the very first slide here. And it's important that for this layer, I don't want to be drawing on this layer, so I'm going to make a new layer above. I'm actually going to lock the lower layer temporarily. Okay, and now we are focusing on the first frame of the walk cycle. Now, in order for us to do this, we need to kind of do a traditional way of animating. All right, it's going to be frame by frame. I don't know if you noticed what I just did there. I put a keyframe at 10 so that we have this walk cycle for the entire time we are drawing. So I'm going to zoom in on the first guy. And on my first frame of my new layer, let's name our layers. It's good practice. So I'm going to call it reference for the lower one. For the top one, I'm going to call it walk. Okay, for our very first frame of the walk layer, I'm going to take my brush tool and I'm going to just trace this basically, and I'm going to actually even simplify it. I'm just going to turn this into even more of a stick man for demonstration purposes only. So I'm just putting my lines over the key important areas of that original picture. Okay, just like that. Now, one important thing to note is once you have a walk cycle in place, once you have created a walk cycle, you can always go back to this file and add more detail. You can draw on top of this. You can add details to the face. You can really, the term like flesh out your character. You can use this basic cycle that we're creating for any complicated character later on. All I'm doing here is turning off and on the eye so that I can see how it compares. Now what we're going to do is we are going to go to frame 2, and I'm going to insert a keyframe. Sorry, I'm going to insert a blank keyframe because I do not want to take this one. It's going to change. So insert blank keyframe. Now, you may be asking, well, how the heck can I see where the other one was? How can I change it? We're going to turn on this little feature down here called onion skin. And that will allow us to see the previous slide so that we know where we were. And now what I can do is I can go down to the reference layer and unlock it. And I can just move the next slide over, just like that. And by the way, I'm holding Shift so that it doesn't go up and down. It just moves left to right. And then I'm going to lock it again. And now, once again, on this layer, with my brush tool, I can trace over the reference picture, just like this, nicely. And you can see that you can do this pretty quick. All right, and this is obviously, I'm doing it very basically, but you can see how this does not take a huge amount of time to do. Okay, same step. Got that one? Let me just check it. Looks pretty good, kind of wavy, but that's okay. Frame 3, insert blank keyframe. Go down to reference, unlock it, slide to the next one. Right there. Okay. Lock it, go back to this frame. Oh, and by the way, with onion skinning, if you're looking and you're seeing too far back and it's confusing, you can pull these little sliders here and decide on how far back or how far forward you can actually see. Once again, brush tool. Trace over our character once again. This one's a little tricky because his hands are kind of in the same position. Trace over that. Get his arm in there, nice. His other arm comes down here, something like that. And we can just move the playhead, and we can kind of see how it's coming along. That onion skinning might be a little confusing, so I just turn it off and check it. Okay, it's looking good. Let's go to the next one. Okay, and this is very repetitive. We're already on the 4th frame. I think there's 8 frames total. So let's get them all done. It won't take long. Maybe what I'll do is I'll speed up this next part of the clip just so you can see the end result. Like I said, it's very repetitive. We are tracing once again. I'll just do this one and then I'm going to speed it up. Okay, tracing it all like so. All right. And we are more or less done with that one. All right, so I'm going to speed up the rest of this clip while I get the rest of these done. Okay, so we have done the walk cycle, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn off the eye on the lower reference layer so that we can see how it looks. Not bad. Again, very important that we trace it all in the same spot so that the actual character looks like they're walking on the spot. We wouldn't want to animate this across the stage, and I'll show you why in a second. I'm going to delete this reference layer now because we don't need it anymore. We now have the walk cycle nicely. And what I'm going to do with this walk cycle now that I have it, I want to store it. I don't want to lose what I've just done, all this tracing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select, by clicking and holding, I'm going to select all of those frames of the walk cycle. And I'm going to actually, I'm going to cut those frames right out of there. Okay, and this may seem weird that I'm doing this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new symbol. Okay, and actually, you know what? 1 second before I do that, let's just undo the cut that I did previously. I'm going to make a new symbol. And you know what? It really doesn't matter what I make as a symbol. Let's say it's a block even. I'm going to convert this to a symbol. And the important thing here, though, is I'm going to call the symbol walk. And the type is going to be a movie clip. And the movie clip part is the important part. I'm going to explain why in a second. We're going to say OK. And now what I'll do, let me just get rid of that one. Now I'm going to select my clips or my frames and I'm going to cut them out of here. Okay. And I'm actually going to go to my library and I'm going to go into the walk symbol by double clicking it, and we can tell we're in that editor over here. Okay, you can see we're editing the walk movie clip. I'm going to delete this first one with the block now, and I'm going to go down here and I'm actually going to paste my frames in. So we now have this walk cycle in here inside a movie clip symbol. Okay, once I've got that in there, I'm going to go back to my scene 1. So I'm going to click this back arrow, back to my stage. Now I'm going to go to my library. I'm going to bring the walk cycle into my stage. Now I just want to show you how a movie clip symbol works. If I go and I test this movie, our character is going to walk on the spot. And the reason he's doing that is because a movie clip symbol allows us to embed frame by frame animation or tween animation, whatever, within it. Okay, so within this one symbol, when I double click it, we have got our frame by frame animation of him walking. And actually, I got an extra frame here that I don't need. So I'm going to just delete it. Okay. And what it's going to basically do is repeat those movements over and over and over and over and over again. It's just going to loop forever. Let's say we wanted him to go now from the left side of the stage to the right side of the stage. I could go up to, let's say, frame 24, put a keyframe. Okay, so on the number 1, he's over here. And on 24, remember this from last tutorial, we move him over to the right-hand side of the stage. And we put the classic tween in between. And guess what? You won't see it happening. Okay? Actually, I can turn that option on. But when I go to test this, it looks like he's actually walking across the stage because what it's doing is it's playing that movie clip of the walk cycle as he goes across the stage. This is a great way to create animation within your symbols. So if you have a character that needs to walk, or an animal that needs to run, or whatever, you can embed your walk cycle within the movie clip and then tween it to where you want it to go. and it's going to give the impression that they are walking across the stage. All right, so very, very handy, very useful. Okay, let's say I wanted him to walk slower. Well, I could just increase the amount of time it takes for him to go across the stage. Same deal. And insert classic tween, go to test. Whoops, what happened there? Oh, I didn't move him. Forgot to move him on frame 50 across the stage. Okay, let's try that again. So it takes him longer to walk across. So it's very, very powerful, very useful to create a walk cycle and then to use this walk cycle as kind of a base for the rest of your characters that might have a part of your animation or whatever that, or a game that they may be walking across the stage. Hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching.